Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome to another episode of The Brief. So, I just want to touch on the situation with the Tates right now again because I don't feel like enough people are properly addressing it. It's clearly a situation, I think, where these men are not actually gonna be fully proven guilty. I think that genuinely they're it's beyond a critique, I think, to say that the media are blowing this way out of proportion, and beyond a critique to say that unfortunately we live in a time where it's that easy to just go after somebody. Um, and I do believe I was just warning my son about this very same thing, in fact, the other day, where you have women who see whether they could clearly potentially benefit from a situation and are in fact going to go after people's reputations and people's lifestyles and freedoms, even. I've seen it with friends of mine at a local Minneapolis record label. Seen it happen with a lot of men once they reach a certain level of fame in the industry. I think some of these young ladies genuinely think that there is something that they can, you know, go after and or benefit from in some way. And I think that we have raised a generation of and it's not to say that real sexual assaults don't happen, and it is also not to say that guilty men do every day roam freely. In the context of the Tates, I don't think they're guilty. And I think that there's a lot of speculation out there roaming around the internet. And I think that there's a lot of beyond agenda roaming around there on the internet when it comes, in fact, exactly to this very subject matter. So I did touch yesterday on my video on Vice News. And no, I think that by and large, to like full scale capacity, most people that are credible journalists in the journalism world don't really take too much of what they print to heart. And I think that that is like the wide opening thing here is that I literally just was stumbling around YouTube yesterday and I saw this comment from a young man regarding the Vice News piece. And I thought it was kind of disturbing because a lot of people think that they are, in fact, considered credible and legitimate as a news source. And I think that people that work very hard to cultivate um, a proprietary disposition of being credible in the journalism world don't, by and large, take much of what they say as a news source to heart. So, do I think that perpetrators roam around free in the system every day that have, in fact, um, attacked women or have, in fact, um, been otherwise out of pocket towards women? Yes, absolutely. I understand that it is a very real epidemic within the legal system. But I don't think that, again, the Tates are guilty. I'm pretty sure they have plenty of women coming forward on their behalf at this point, indicating exactly that. And I don't think that this is really a game that should be played within the legal system of like who is, adequate or who is inadequate when it comes to news sources. I mean, that's a whole long laundry list of folks that fall under the umbrella of being not credible and inadequate in their procedures and their practices and what they do with journalism. And I don't think that this is the first time that we've seen this, and I don't think that this is going to be the last time either. Um, Again, it is not to make light of real women that have, in fact, been victimized to some degree or another. And I know that it is a very real um, state of how justice system in today's day and age works, where there's plenty of criminals still out on the loose that have really never seen um, the light of day of justice, proverbially speaking. And so it makes it a tenuous topic for like women to want to breach and approach, but more importantly, like women in journalism, because this too like speaks volumes about the power of the journalistic field. Like if I credibly did not like somebody and just thought they should be canceled, I don't see myself lending my voice to people with agendas. I don't see myself lending my voice incredibly to certain agendas that would tie another's freedom to the ground. And I don't think that in this day and age, as journalists, it's our job to choose the right to freedom for somebody else. I think that is a step beyond what we're supposed to be doing. Um, and I don't really think that is genuinely applicable as what the craft of journalism is supposed to be used for. So I think it's an abuse of power um, that should be discredited in the journalism community. It's just a little too much power, in fact. And I don't think that it is, in fact, being used properly in the Tate case. And I think many obviously agree, um, male and female journalism and not YouTubers and other forms of like journalists agree. I think you're gonna see very interesting things come out of the Tate case, and I think for the first time in history, it almost makes one legitly like not only question the reality of everything that they thought they knew, but also genuinely like want to know why that's there. Why is that a clause, or why is that somehow plausible that in this day and age, as journalists, we just have this power to go out and cancel folks if we don't like them. I don't agree um, with the Tate brothers like business models per se. I don't think that the world of pornography is like a really great business to be in, but it's not my choice to make for them. And I don't think that I would be heard even if I voiced that opinion to either of the Tates. So it's one of those things where they're probably very well meaning individuals and do, in fact, have a kind of good guy reputation with a lot of the women that they surround themselves with. And those things, I think, in this case, are credible and to be taken to heart and taken to public knowledge, that even women that have been their supposed victims have in fact come forward and been like, no, these guys are not like that. These guys are not doing those things. We are the victims that they are saying, and so you got to take that a step further and look at that for what it is. You have the women who are supposedly victims coming forward in this case, even, and really kind of vindicating the Tates. And so I just urge you, whether you want to explore journalism objectively, to make that a priority. Remain objective. That is, by and large, what journalism is built on. Anything else is just an agenda. And you learn very quickly to see what is what and things for what they actually are. And so, you know, this is going to be one of those things where, like, deep down, I don't have to agree with what they do to make money, to have respect for them as individuals and respect for their innocence. Um, it's pretty clear cut all across the board, in fact, by and large, that they are in fact innocent. In the court of law, there's not still like legal hard legal evidence that is known. And by and large, every like journalism piece or news piece that comes out on this whole situation, the key words are alleged. And so you can't think that the word alleged means, verifiable evidence in a court of law. So I just want to throw that out there as well, because I think a lot of people are getting it twisted and thinking that because they're seeing it in the news with the keywords alleged under the tagline or under the headline, they do in fact think that that is cause for suspicion. And I really don't think so either. So I think what you have here is elements of a media smear campaign coupled with, obviously the credibility behind what they actually do for a living, and that piece of it thrown in there. I think you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be like, oh, they're guilty, throw the book at them. But that's just not the case when you break it down piece by piece. Little piece of evidence here and a little piece of evidence there is still not proven circumstantial enough to be considered solid evidence. And, a victim witness statement here or there still isn't, by and large, considered legal evidence either. In most rape cases, there's, got to be some kind of solid proof that the individual is guilty beyond just a witness statement, because there's a lot of girls in the world that would make something like that up. As a former teacher, I had students, in fact, that I witnessed this with somewhat on a regular basis, actually, and it's kind of alarming. Like a girl gets upset with a guy and decides to make up a story about them, and that knowing full well that that would damn that person's reputation and possibly bar them from leading like any semblance of you know a normal life. So I mean I don't think that the Tates are guilty. I think there's been enough credible and non-credible sources that have come forward and said both sides of this on both ends. Legitly, people who are found guilty in a court of law are generally found guilty through hard physical evidence, which we are still not seeing. So, I don't think this is so much up in the air as people think it is. I think that this is eventually going to be thrown out. And I don't think that there's, like, by and large, enough, again, hard physical evidence that is the legal requirement by a court of law. Um, in most countries in the world, in fact. So, that is my 2 cents. And everybody, thanks for joining me. Have a blessed day.